Hey there, everybody. Pete here from Comic Book Geezers. Welcome to another edition of the show. We got Kirk on the Zoom line for some old style, old school DC Justice League. Kirk's got some really cool books to show off. Definitely some more vintage stuff than Wild Bill and I showed you guys a number of episodes ago. So I'm curious to see what Kirk's got up his sleeve for some classic Justice League. What do you got, my friend?
I got to say that is this is one of those sets I am working at finishing.
Really?
Yeah, this is I've bitten off a lot on this, but I started working on this. Like there was a period where I was collecting really hard when I was doing shows and stuff, and I was working on this, and then I took a break. I bought a house, I did everything, and then there was other things, other bills to be paid. So, but I did put in, got some key issues for the Justice League, some stuff I'll share today. I love old Justice League. I'll show you my earliest one, which is number 3. I mean, it's an old 10 center. It's from, I think, like 1961.
Wow.
You know, as I said, these were, you read the stuff now before, and it's kind of like really pretty heavy. These were pretty light and fluffy, but they're good reads. Um, it's funny too because you see this, and there's no Superman or Batman.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
You see in the Martian Manhunter there, who ends up getting
So I see Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter. I'm trying to identify everybody. Is it Aquaman, Wonder
Yeah,
Woman, Flash, and then I don't know who the guy standing up is. That's probably the bad guy, right?
he's the bad guy.
Okay.
He's the bad guy. So, and then I've got issue 14 where the Atom gets added to the team,
Cool.
and they've already introduced Green Arrow. You can see him in the back.
I do, yeah.
And that's before he got the cool goatee and everything.
I was just gonna say he looks pretty clean shaven there.
Yeah, yeah, that's old. That's old Silver Age stuff. Um, and we get this is issue 16. Uh,
Wow.
again, as I said, these are great books. Fun to get, harder to get now because as I said, now that I'm going back trying to get some of these, I'm like, man, I should have bought more of these. But it was a great run. What I started collecting initially, because I loved back in the day, they used to every summer do a JLA JSA team up where you would cross over the two teams because Justice Society didn't have their own book. It was they were basically the Golden Age version of the Justice League. So I got a lot of them. Now this is one of them. This is actually my earliest one. This is issue 29 of the Justice League.
Wow.
The second time they meet up with the Golden Age team, the Justice Society of America. It's one of my favorite covers too, because
That's awesome. Yeah.
At this point you're seeing Superman and Batman in the team, but there's a lot of stuff. Again, some of the stuff is very goofy, kind of. If you're looking for
There's
more of
Hawkman, right? Hawkman's
yeah, Hawkman's there, Batman, the Flash, Superman. Um, Again, back with the zany monsters. Again, I don't know how terrifying that is now. It didn't, 50 years
these are
later,
not like the
not that
Justice
scary.
League storylines of the 90s and the 2000s.
Yeah, yeah. You'd be like Batman being on, really? You're bothering me with this? I mean, come on. But and there's more Justice Society stuff. Um, and then it's funny too because they've got this is where you get the Crisis on multiple Earths and stuff. And here's where they're fighting a bad version of the Justice League, and it's kind of funny because if you look closely, the evil Batman hasn't shaved. He's all, and the evil Green Lantern is going a little bald, and the evil Superman is blonde. Again, it's awesome stuff. And then they'd occasionally throw in different heroes too, like Metamorpho. They ask him if he wants to join the team, and he says no. But he kind of becomes a reserve member anyways. But
Yeah.
and actually, I just got this. This I got with Bill.
You got that Zap?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. $6. Maybe that.
It's in pretty good condition. I mean, all the ones that you've shown so far have been, to me, look like a solid 4 and above.
Yeah, they're I picked them up at shows over the years. As I said, they're great reads, but they're not the they're not the dark and dirty versions of like what we're used to now. I mean, when you're sitting there and the big villain is called the Shaggy Man, I mean, I don't know. It looks like a Sasquatch, right? Doesn't it? Now I think this book was done actually before the $6 Million Man battled Bigfoot. So you can't even blame that. Maybe that was where they got the design for Bigfoot. I don't know,
right?
but
Who knows? Throw some hair on Andre the Giant, and boom, you're good to go.
yeah, and I love this. You guys see, like you see, like the old where they're fighting and they're actually punching them through the little POW, and there's the sock and all that. It's awesome. I also love too. Back in the day, they used to do the little the heads on the side. You don't see that anymore.
Right.
And again, I love the fact too that Batman has gotten so big he's beating up an alien toe to toe, right? But yeah, there was a whole bunch of these. Hold on, I'll show a couple. And then I love is you start seeing like back then, because you couldn't really touch like a grown-up Robin or anything, but they could if they said it was the original Robin from the Golden Age. And so that's the costume that the adult Robin from that Earth took. Now I got to admit, I think he was a little colorblind or something. Because look at that outfit. That's a really hurting outfit.
Yeah, that's not good at all.
I mean, I don't know if his mom dressed him like that or what, but it just
gray and blue and yellow, and yeah, that doesn't look good at all.
Yeah, it's like his costume got mixed up with Batman's, and then something, the dryer spit it out really crazy. So that's what happens when you get dressed in the dark, I guess. But again, great covers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But again, it's grab a couple more of these. I mean, again, I love these old books, and they were great for doing guest stars. You can see Batgirl showing up. They do these weird things with like, the double heads.
I like that. Yeah, that's very cool.
And then of course Neil Adams shows up again doing covers. I got to say, did this guy sleep at all during the 70s? I don't think so. And then I want to show like two more before we call it quits, because some of these covers are funny and awesome all at the same time. I love this one, and it's just so horrible. Yeah, look, you gotta look at that. It's like Hawkman is just like, I'm like, I don't know.
That is bad. So, wow.
Is that horrible? I was gonna say, Bill missed his calling, because I think Bill could do a better cover, but that's just my opinion. If he worked in the 60s, I think Bill could have been great. He could have been working with Neil Adams the whole time. But yeah, I'll show these last two, and then we're gonna. But again, just fun books. But I love the Justice League. I think it got better as it got into like the hundreds, that 100 issue where they started with the more like the 70s and into the early 80s. I think that's a great period for the book. Near the end of mid 80s, it got really horrible with like Vibe and all those characters coming in. And then they finally canceled it and they rebooted it, which worked, and then it got darker and darker, which is what we're used to today.
Like really dark. Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I really enjoy a lot of the more modern day Justice League stuff that I've read.
Yeah, I gotta say, some of the stuff written by Grant Morrison and stuff, fantastic. It's definitely not your grandfather's Justice League, because some of these books were done before I was born. I mean, they're pretty old. I mean, the book started in the early 60s, I think like 60, 61. So it's been going for, that means 60 years. So
yeah, and again, I think you were right earlier. You were talking about how DC was a little late to the game with going for the more complex storylines and stuff, which Marvel was really started getting into with Fantastic Four and everything else going forward. And I think right around that same time, stuff like Batman and Superman and Justice League, they were still these kind of happy-go-lucky stories, right? Really lighthearted. The villains weren't that serious. There was no sense of peril really in any of these stories. But eventually they kind of figured it out. It's like, well, you know what? We probably need to kind of follow suit here a little bit, right?
Yeah, well, it's funny. Every summer, the Justice League would do a Justice League, Justice Society team up. I bought as a kid every year. That was like the high point of my summer, was getting that book. But there's like one issue where they kill the original Mr. Terrific. They kill him. All right. Now a villain gets onto the satellite, kills him. At the end of the book, like this Justice Society chases the villain back to their Earth where he was from, and the Justice League is on the satellite laughing, going, "Oh!" I'm like, dude, somebody just died. And they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, that's the kind of light tone books where kind of like, they weren't so serious, Whereas nowadays, people are like, "Oh my God, so and so is dead." They're much more realistic, darker. So, Batman's a nasty kind of guy. He's not laughing and joking around, and so. But I think those are books that are much more interesting to read, to be honest, too.
Yeah, true. So, well, that's some good. That's a nice collection you got there. And so out of the whole series, how many you still have left on your wish list?
I probably have to get about 75 issues. I'm going through. I just want the first series, the first set.
Right.
I don't know if I'll get a one. Those even low grades on a one and hate to say it, there's always other fish out there to get, so it's kind of like
true.
And,
but 75 is not that's a pretty doable number.
Well, that's why, as I said, I was kind of initially I just wanted the JLA Justice Society team up books, but I have almost all of those. I still need to go back and get a couple. I need the first two, but they're doable. I just haven't found copies of them. I hate to say, a lot of this work I did before there was the internet. So when you used to have to go to shows and hope that somebody was selling the book there.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you just hit it, you boom, and you hit it, and it's being shipped to you that day.
And wait for it to arrive at your door, right?
It's a much more easier world we live in these days. So.
I know. It definitely is. It definitely is. Well, cool. Thanks for showing off some of those great old classic Justice League books. Thanks everybody for watching. Remember, if you like what you see here, click on that subscribe button and sign up for the little bell notification. So every time we post a new video, you get an email saying Comic Book Users is back with a new video, but you can count on us every Wednesday and Friday. That's when we post new stuff. Hopefully at some point in the near future, we'll be coming at you a little more often, but we'll see how it goes. So stay tuned for some new episodes coming up in a couple days. I want to thank Kirk for showing off some great stuff. I am Pete for Wild Bill and Kirk. See you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.